Gergensons and Eric Johnson get their clearance and then they're ready to go?
They are ready to go, and I expect both of them in. So as you saw, the lines today is how we plan it out for tomorrow, and pairs as well.
Don, just looking ahead to tomorrow's game, Dallas is sort of a team that can put together a full 60-minute game, scoring a lot of goals in the third period. What have you sort of noticed from their ability to do so, and what do you expect to see from their offense tomorrow night?
I mean, they're a very deep team, deep with skill and experience at all positions. So, they have all-star, obviously, goaltender. Heiskanen has proven to be an all-star defenseman, and obviously, up front between Pavelski, Ben, Sagan, historically, very, very talented, experienced hockey players. Add Ryan Suter on the back end as well. That's not even talking about their top line of the young guys and younger guys, I should say, with Rupe Hintz and Robertson, who's been incredible the last few years. So they're a very deep team, very structured team, and you've got to be ready to play them for 60 minutes, as you mentioned. It's every minute matters because they're ready to capitalize on just the smallest of mistakes.
You guys have trended up in a lot of areas in these recent games, and we saw in California you had some of the issues falling behind, but you were able to overcome it. You had some bad luck in San Jose. When you've kind of thought about this season in these last 10 days or so, how do you deal with the issue of the starts? I mean, it has gotten better in some games, but you still fall behind. And do you look at it where you have to do something different? Do you look at it where the players have to prepare different? You have to do something different in the pregame? What have some of your thoughts been in that area?
When you look and you break down a game, first of all, when you look at starts, one really simple thing you got to look at is scoring chances to start the game. So if we had 6 scoring chances and didn't score, the other team had 4 sometimes and scored. So now we're down. And, so you've got a number of games where that happened. So the start wasn't bad, but the score at the start was not what we wanted. We actually just didn't score. They scored first. So, when you look at, okay, did we have a bad start or did the other team score first? The other team's been scoring first, even in some games where, we've had a better start, we just didn't score on chances. But when you look at the context of everything, we know we haven't played the way we want to play enough. So our focus is more on that. That we have full control over. We don't have as much control over which chances are scored on, back and forth. So if we keep getting better as a team, that stuff usually resolves itself as it's starting to, or it has lately, and hopefully hopefully that's starting a trend now the other way. But the 2 games we fell behind in San Jose and LA, what I did like about our start is we were dialed in, mentally, competitively dialed in. We were shooting pucks like we talk about. We were willing to track pucks. We were willing to win battles. The other team scored first, twice. But you saw the mentality was right. We're able to overcome it because we played, with this right mentality for 60 minutes. That's what we need. And I mentioned yesterday, we lost a couple of key players in Quinn and Samuelsson. At the start of the year, we lost Quinn for 30-some games, or didn't have him for 30-some games. I think we're in a better place psychologically than we were at the start of the year at any point right now to fill in for those, losses of those 2 players. But we'll see. But I do feel we're in a better spot than we were a couple weeks ago, and that's what you want. You want to be trending, in the right direction all the time, and I feel we are lately.
You haven't played in over a week, but you've had 2 very good practices here. Is that enough to kick the rust off and be ready to go on a Tuesday, getting those real good practices in?
Yeah, I think there's going to be rust for both teams a little bit, but it is. Having 2 practices is a big help. It's a nice integration into, game 1 after whatever it's been, 8 days or 9 days. I don't even know how many days, but yeah, it's a long break to not play, for not be on the ice for these guys. But 2 skates is really helpful in that regard. And but as you mentioned, as we talked about starting, you're playing a team that's an $80-some million payroll on the other end. So it's not like real life where you get to walk around freely. You got no time, no space, and guys are trying to physically impede everything you do. So I think we had two good skates, and tomorrow it's time to compete even harder.
Is Dylan one of the reasons you mentioned you're confident just where this group is at that they can overcome the losses? Is Dylan's play the last 5-6 weeks one of those reasons? And how have you seen him navigate the balance of trying to become that better defender while also still keeping that, being able to weigh risk and take those risks and try to beat guys one-on-one?
Yeah, Dylan was pressing a lot the first 20 games, 25 games, and it's a different territory in life for him. He's on a different contract, and you put different expectations on yourself, and we had lots of talks where he was feeling that. I feel like I got to be better, right? And putting that type of pressure on him, and pulled him, contributed himself, to maybe not playing as well as he'd like. He's really settled in. Where you see it is on the penalty kill, which you need to find a calm on the penalty kill to read and then be decisive, and that's a real balance. You see that he's gained that over the last month, which translates into 5-on-5 game, into power play game, that ability to be calm when needed and the ability to be decisive and aggressive when needed. And when he adds that with his physical attributes, when he gets that's experience. And when you get that poise with the skill set he has, it's incredible. And so yes, he's been in a much better place, and that's one guy that I also feel Alex Tuch is in a much better place. And those are two big time hockey players.
How much you feel the Tuck thing is health? I mean, Dylan is more confidence. The Tuck thing is more health.
It is health with Tucky. He's a big guy but I think that helps. There's no question. You get in a rhythm, and so the hope is obviously he stays healthy, but it is a big part of his game.
How can Zach complement Dylan and JJ on that line?
Zach is all the things we can again talk about. He's got hockey sense. He's got grit. He goes to the front of the net. He creates forces, plays, and turnovers that those two can capitalize on. Didn't mention JJ. JJ has had a good season all along, but he's really elevated the last 10 games. He's gone to another level that he hasn't in his career. But I think Benson is smart enough and skilled enough to really contribute on that line.
You and the players stay in the moment. But as competitors, as coaches and players, you're all competitors. Do you at all remember what they did to you last year in this building?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. You don't play them enough to forget that one, first of all, but those are tough nights to forget. And yeah, it was. I think it was 6-4 in the third period, and then it ended up. We gave up 4 goals in the last 10 minutes, and obviously it goes from 6-4 to 10-4. That's pretty ugly. I think it went something like that, anyways. But again, a very good hockey team that can take advantage of mistakes as good as. They're a top 5 team in the league and taking advantage of mistakes.
Can you explain your confidence in Zach a little more as far as, this isn't a criticism, he hasn't scored in a while, but we've seen, but you elevated him, we've seen the way he's been able to stabilize lines, you've used him all over. Could you just kind of explain? There's a kind of a uniqueness in moving a rookie up to, fill in for a guy like Jack, I guess.
He positionally around the ice, he's always positioned around the puck. The other team usually has to go through him, so his play without the puck is exceptional, and we get it back faster and quicker. His teammates get it back. The defensemen get it back faster, quicker, easier. He gets pucks out of the zone. He gets pucks into where they need to be. He can extend a possession. If you send it to him and there's a defender on him and he's got no support, he can usually buy 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, which is elite. Much like I talked about Middlestead a couple of years ago, his elite skill is to buy himself that extra 1 or 2 seconds that you don't get in the NHL. Benny has that type of intuition, his very intuitive sense of how to manipulate situations. The scoring is going to come. There's no question. It wouldn't be a surprise if he scored and ended up with points tomorrow. He's doing a lot of things that help enhance your potential of scoring.
Why hasn't it come? I mean, because he's done all the things you talked about, and he's been a goal scorer all his life in every step of the way getting to this? Why do you think it has to be?
Yeah, I think a little bit of confidence for him at this level, a little bit of strength of shot. I mean, the goalies are, you're playing against NHL goalies, so you need a little bit more torque on the puck and a little bit more deception than you would. But again, and I think he's playing more responsible. He's not getting caught ever cheating for offense, and he's working on that foundation where you can cheat for offense and have, if you're in his position, and maybe have 5 or 8 more goals, but you also might be minus 15 doing it. So so I like where his game is at. I do think that the scoring will follow, but to me, those are some of the components of why maybe he hasn't scored more.
What type of opportunity do you think the Samuelsson injury can be for Ryan Johnson to find a rhythm and kind of be an every night player?
I think Sammy is a big part of, when he's healthy and in the lineup, he's a big part of the game. So I think it's not going to be an opportunity for every guy, because we need to fill those minutes, and it's going to be more than just Ryan Johnson. But Ryan's been consistent, and he's been good. That's why he's stayed here. We had no plan before the season, I can tell you that, of him coming in. We just figured he's a rookie, and the assumption, like everybody else, was he's going to need time in the American League. He's here because what he did. He's played very consistent. He's been reliable. He's been reliable in the sense you know what you're going to get when you put him out on the ice. And so I don't think he needs to step up. I don't think he's going to fill the void for Samuelsson. I think the group's going to fill the void. That's a group thing, not a Ryan thing. Ryan just needs to do what he's been doing. It's been very, very good. Thanks.